Your journey can only begin when the self-doubts stop. The first step is harnessing your bravery within. Believing in you is your host, Sean D. Morris.
Good day to you all. My name is Sean, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to another weight loss episode of Bravery Within. Since it seems like right now that I seem to be on a kick for inspirational podcasts, I thought, well, why slow down now? Let's just do another one. I'm hoping that these are helping you. I've had a bunch of new people there get a hold of me and talk to me and ask me questions and stuff. And today was something, I wanted to address something that I needed to address to myself before I started my own weight loss journey. And there's so many people out there that I think they need to hear this episode. And I know I've covered pretty much everything in this episode that I'm going to talk about today in one or another. But I think it's going to be good to have it all basically in one episode. So today for the weight loss episode number 25, it is called, When Are You Going to Start? And I thought that was kind of appropriate because it's like, okay, I realize that, we all have tons and tons of stuff to do. No arguments there. We all have busy lives. And I'm going to be honest with you. There's probably a list of 2, 3, maybe even 400 reasons on why not to start your own weight loss journey. And I'm going to tell you this right now, I used them all. It wasn't until I finally realized that I can't keep going the way that I was going because I was just sick and tired of the extra weight. I was tired of always being tired. And I'll be honest, when I looked in the mirror, all I wanted to do was upchuck. I mean, that's not a good thing because I just couldn't stand what was looking at me. I like everything about me except the fat part. And I realized that that's 30 years that I have abused my body, the joints, the muscles, my back, my everything that I've abused by carrying that extra weight when I didn't need to. And I always come up with a very good reason why, or I had this excuse why, or I'll start tomorrow, or I'm too busy, or there's all kinds of different things that I used honestly there to never start my weight loss journey. But the one thing that I learned there, and it was a hard way, and I'll be honest, I learned it the hard way, was I always dieted, and that is not good. Now I'm not saying that the programs out there aren't good. I'm not saying that at all. There's some out there that do help you, and that's fantastic, and I hope they help you. Anything to get the extra fat off your body is what you're going for. It may not always be weight what you're trying to get rid of, but it's the fat that you're trying to get rid of. And that's when I looked in the mirror and that's all I saw was fat. I mean, it was just like, ugh, okay, there's nobody that's ever going to be interested in me, so why worry about it? And I rationalized so many different things and so many different reasons on why never to get started on my own weight loss journey. It just, I had a list as long as both of my arms on why not to do my own weight loss journey. But it wasn't until I started using those 3 words together, weight loss journey, instead of diet, when things turned around for me. And as I was doing some research for this episode and kind of snooping around, I wanted to make sure I had the bases covered there while I'm talking to you kind folks. Because keep in mind, I know a lot of you have caught most of my episodes, and I'm getting folks that are getting with me and they're telling me that there's certain episodes that they like. And thank you so much for talking to me. Thank you so much for reaching out. You have no idea what that means when I'm sitting here, because on average it takes anywhere from 5 to 7, sometimes 8 hours per episode to produce a podcast, and that's if everything goes right, unfortunately. So when it doesn't go right, sometimes it can take triple the time. So to hear from you guys is such a great thank you. I can't thank you enough. And then I heard that you guys are sharing the podcast with your family, your friends, and everything else. You're subscribing to my YouTube page. Thank you so much. I mean, you guys are amazing. That's why I do this. So one thing that when I was doing the research for all of this, I came across this quote, and Eddie Harris Jr. Said it, and I think it's so perfect because basically it helps. Hopefully it's a little bit of an inspiration for you to get started on your own weight loss journey. And that quote is, "It takes a dream to get started, desire to keep going, and determination to finish. And those are such true words. I would absolutely love to meet Eddie Harris Jr. one time and shake his hand, because I think that quote is so inspirational. And when I read it, I thought, okay, that's going to help basically keep me going on my own weight loss journey. Those powerful words really, really rang home for me. So now that we've got the quote going, and I kind of got you fired up a little bit by listening to the podcast, let's be serious for a moment. No one likes to lose weight or restrict things back that bring them happiness. Let's just be honest about that. That's just the way we are. We love our comforts. We love our food. We love the social bringing, social niceties and everything else that comes with when you sit down and you'd have a meal with somebody there. And to me, being that I'm still old school and old world, in the middle of Podunk where I live, inviting somebody to break bread at your table is the ultimate in respect and saying thank you. We appreciate who you are. We appreciate what you do for our family and everything else. So to be invited to somebody's table, to me, is huge. It's absolutely honoring to be invited to somebody's table. And I know back in the old days and stuff there that people would all the time there go over to somebody's house and they would sit and play cards or sit and play dice or anything like that there while they shared a meal, and they would talk about their week's ups and downs and what the kids are going through and everything else. And that's something that my family still does on a weekly basis. Every Friday night we get together, and sometimes we don't play cards, sometimes we'll play games that are on the TV and stuff there. There's some really, really neat games where it links in your cell phones and everything else. And we play those, or we do play cards, we do play poker, we do play Hold'em, anything like that, and we always go out for supper. And we all look forward to that whole week, because that's when we talk about our ups and our downs, about everything that we went through. So that's all very social stuff, and that always happens around food. And when you're going through your own weight loss journey, it is so discouraging sometimes, because you want to go out for supper with folks, you want to either enjoy some time, you need to talk to those people, but then you sit there and you think, okay, well, I need to count the calories, or I don't know what's actually being made in my food, or if the calorie content that they're giving me is actually correct. When you're like me and you run so tight on calories and carbs and sugar and everything else, it doesn't take much to throw the whole balance off. So when you're trying to lose weight and restrict things, you always end up seeing to do that alone, and that gets to you after a while. And I have to admit there, I have to be really, really careful about when I go out to eat with my family. But I wouldn't give it up for all the tea in China. And, there's probably a couple times I may take in a couple extra 100 calories, but I make up for it the next day, because that night means so much to me that I want to be there with them, and it helps me recharge for the next week. Let's be honest, no one likes to count calories or be able to eat all the things that they like. That was one of the biggest holdbacks, I'll be honest, on my own weight loss journey. It was kind of like, you know what, hey, I deserve to eat. I deserve to eat what I want when I want. And that is true. That statement is very, very true. It's the excess amount that I ate. That was the bad part. There's a reason why I had over 300 pounds of extra fat on my body that I'm still trying to get off today. And 30 years of abuse of my body and stuff there, my body hurts all the time. And we have discussed that about the massive weight loss and the pain that goes along with it. I still have problems, with my ribs hurting and my joints hurting, my knees, my ankles, there's times I've even had trouble, which is weird, in my fingers and in my wrists, because everything is shrinking down, because I'm cruising right along. And like I said, I'm down 5 pant sizes. I'm so proud of myself, and that's not bad for 20 months worth of my weight loss journey. But another thing is, no one likes to exercise or try to find time to work in exercise into their lives. Let's be honest, we're all super, super busy. I mean, it doesn't matter what you turn around. It seems like every time that you've got to come up with either more money because the economy stinks right now, or you've got to come up with more time to take care of the kiddos, or your partner needs you, or something like that there. But then to try to find a time to exercise where you can take an hour or whatever it is in exercise, it's difficult, because a lot of us are working 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and then you come home and you still got everything at home that you've got to take care of. And keep in mind, I have done my entire weight loss journey without actually going to the gym and exercising. Like I said, for about a month and a half, I did use the resistance bands and stuff. So I guess that is exercise. But I didn't, I did that a couple times a week. and I'm actually thinking about working it back in. But one thing that I had to figure out is when I started my weight loss journey, I had to be honest with myself. And I knew that one of them was I couldn't exercise because my joints hurt so bad. If I slip wrong, I'll basically sever my spinal column and all the nerves back there, and I'll never walk again. I'll be confined to a wheelchair. I have to be very, very careful because I've had reconstructive back surgery. So, for everything that I'm going through, I had to be very careful. And I knew I couldn't just go to the gym and work out 2, 3, 4 hours a day. That just wasn't viable. It just can't happen. By the end of the day, sometimes I have a hard time even walking because my joints are so shot, and what the doctors put me on, the medicine that they put me on, destroyed my joints, and it probably kicked in the rheumatoid arthritis that runs through my family. So there's times where I come home and I got ice packs on both knees and both ankles because I can barely walk. So I had to be honest with myself up front. So I had to come up with a weight loss journey that didn't involve exercise. Now, would I like to be able to exercise and have big arms and a massive chest and six-pack abs? Well, yeah, who wouldn't? Let's be honest, because that's all you see on TV, so that's what everybody has to be, And let's be honest, I'm not that way. I'll never be that way. And I had to come to terms with that. And it's just one of the come to Jesus moments, for lack of better words. That's the moment that I had to have. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to exercise what normal people can. If you can, that's fantastic. I do try to make up for it by walking a little bit or hiking or anything like that there. I do try to make up for it. I'll walk around the shop a few extra times while I'm down at work there to try to put a few more steps on before everything starts hurting again, to try to help out a little bit and help the weight loss out. That's another thing to be honest about, is no one likes to diet since you always seem to do it alone. And I talked about that in my previous episode there about dieting alone there, because eating is very social. I mean, you do that with everybody. But it seems like the moment that you say, well, I'm going to go on my own, and for the lack of words, when I start a diet, everybody goes, oh, wait a minute here. And, oh, get away from me. It's like, ew, 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 ew. It's like that diet word. It just scares everybody, and you have every right to, because let's be honest, very few diets actually work. They'll take the beginning weight off, absolutely, no problems there. They're fantastic, and there's a lot of programs out there that will help you. I'm not saying anything against them, but for me, I had tried probably a dozen diets before I finally figured out this weight loss journey. And I know there's all kinds of programs out there. I know there's all kinds of people that are trying to help you, try to motivate you, try to give you keys on, talking about, your hormone levels, or don't eat carbs, or the keto one, or there are so many different diets out there, and you have to find the right one that works for you. There's no doubt about that one there, and that's hard to do because all of our bodies are different. We all respond differently to food and the energy and everything else. But the problem that I've learned with diets is they're so restrictive that your body really can't function on it. It can, you can go through a couple weeks because you have so much excess, and it immediately goes to the reserves. Your body does, to keep all your primary systems up and running. Your heart, your lungs, your brain, your everything else. But a diet is not meant for long term, and no matter what it is, I've done lots of research, and I'll be honest, those things drive me nuts, because it's kind of like I tried so many different diets, and it broke my heart because all it did was put more weight back on me because I fell off it, because they're just not possible to stay on for long term. So I knew I had to have another come to Jesus moment and know that I can't do a diet. It's not going to happen. I had to figure out something else. So that's when I basically figured this out and just dove off the cliff and just said, you know what, I'm just going to do a weight loss journey, and this is going to have to be permanent. I'm going to have to do this for the rest of my life. So I had to start making changes that I knew that I could live with. A diet, you make changes temporarily because you put up with it because you want to lose a few extra pounds. The journey that I'm on, I have to stay on for the rest of my life. And if I don't, then it's not going to happen, because then I'll gain all my weight back. And I'll be honest, I don't have it in me to do this again. It's taken everything that I've had to get to this point. But now that I'm 20 months into it, I'm proud of myself, and I'm proud of how far I've come. And I know the changes that I've made, I can continue on with the way that I eat, the way that I live my life, the way we cook. My son has been so wonderful about helping me figure out how to cook things, how to make things differently. And then I've got a couple other friends, they're doing their own weight loss journeys too. So we swap ideas all the time. So some of those ideas that I've learned, they come right onto my podcast because I want to share. You guys are my extended family. I want to share this stuff with you because anything that we can do to try to make this horrific weight loss journey that is so difficult to try to get through easier. That's what I want to do. And I'm going to be honest with you and stuff. I've had plenty of people that have come to me and they say, how do you stick to your weight loss journey? And I tell each and every one of them, and I know I'm probably going to get some hate mail for this one, and I'm going to get some. Remember, I don't have a piece of paper on the wall saying I'm important. I went to school for weight loss or a dietitian, or I'm not a gym rat. I'm not anything like that. I am your normal 49-year-old guy that just goes to work 40 hours a week, comes home, takes care of his family, takes care of everything in the house. There's nothing special about me. If you saw me on the street, you wouldn't even notice me. I mean, I'm just Mr. Normal. That's really what it comes down to. But I get all kinds of questions saying, how do you stick to your weight loss journey? And it all comes back to determination is really what it comes to. And that's why that quote, it takes a dream to get started, desire to keep going, and determination to finish. And the determination to finish is probably, to me, the most important part of that. You know, to getting started, there's no doubt about it. It is difficult. It was tough. For me, I had to, like I said, Thelma and Louise it right off the cliff. I had to force myself to go from 7,000 to 9,000 calories per day down to 1,200. And let me tell you, that first 3 months, I was miserable. It was tough while I was detoxifying from the carbs, the sugar, the fat, everything. I can't tell you how tough that was. And people that tell me, oh, well, those cravings go away after a couple days, it's no big deal. They're full of hooey is what they're full of, because I went through it for almost 3 months before my body finally adjusted and said, crud, we're on this. We're actually doing this. And it once you get past those cravings and you get past that detoxification, things do get easier. You do, because normally by about that time you've got a pretty good routine in place. You're doing things a certain way, you're cooking a certain way, and that's what this is, a weight loss journey. This is something you have to, the changes that you make, you have to be able to live with for the rest of your life. So don't make changes that you can't live with. Don't tell yourself things just to basically get through the moment. You have to be able to come to Jesus and say, okay, this is what we are doing. This is a lifestyle change. You have to be able to make that change. And I couldn't tell you how many people I have told, it is a mental game. This is 90% mental. That's what dieting comes down to. I don't care what anybody else says, and I'm sure I'm going to take some heat for this one here, but when it comes down to it, if you don't have your mindset into losing weight, you don't have it in your head saying, I am going to do this. You have to 100% believe in yourself, pull the strength out from inside you and say, I can do this. If you can't say that 100%, don't attempt even trying to do this, because I want you to win. I want you to get across that finish line. I don't want anything to stand in your way, because you deserve to lose that fat and be a lot thinner, be healthier, and extend your life. I mean, that's the possibilities of losing this excess fat off of your body. But if you can't do it mentally, and that's what killed me, honestly, that's what killed me for 30 years, was the mental aspect of losing weight. That is what destroyed me. That's why I came up with so many excuses to say, you know what, I don't need to do this. Some of the excuses that I used in the past, well, the first one is, well, it's just too darned expensive to do this because it's too expensive to eat well. I'm not going to lie. It is very expensive to buy the better foods. When you go into a supermarket and you go into it, you have to stay out of all the center aisles for the most part, because that's all your filler food. That's all your junk food, essentially, is what it is. It's designed to stretch out the food that we have, because our budgets only go so far. It sucks. There's no other word for it. And you have to stay to the outside, where the meat section and your dairy section and your fruits and vegetables and everything else, all your good stuff is on the outside of a supermarket. And you have to stick to it. And yes, would you like to go into the cookie aisle or the chip aisle or whatever it is? In the beginning, oh my goodness, I about just died when I couldn't go through the center aisles and pick up my normal Cheetos or my normal chips or my cookies or my brownies or my lemon meringue pie. It broke my heart, but I had to make that determination. I had to make that decision to say, I'm not doing this anymore. I have to lose this weight. I have to be there for my son. I have to be there for my puppy. I have to take care of my family. That's what it comes down to. And I can't do that 6 feet under. Let's be very honest with this. And I know that's harsh and is a hard thing to say, but that's what I had to tell myself to get myself out of my chair and get my tuchus moving to start losing weight. And it's almost like, I don't know, for a lack of better words, it's like a little switch up in your brain. And until you flip that on and say, enough is enough, I'm doing this, the bad part is you're probably gonna fail. And I'm not trying to be mean, not at all. I'm gonna tell you this, like I said, I tried a dozen different diet plans, all these fad ones, all these yo-yo diets, all these, they promise the world, they promise that you're going to lose 700 pounds in a week. You know, you're going to slim down, and you take this pill and you got 6-pack abs and you look like a rock star or a movie star or whatever it is. Let's be honest, those things are hooey. They don't work because I tried them. They didn't do anything for me. I was a sucker and fell for them. And I had to learn, if you're going to take the weight off, it takes work. There's no other way to say it, and it stinks. But once you start putting the work in, you start seeing the benefits actually pretty quick. And the thing that probably I can't stress enough is you have to go slow with this. You shouldn't average any more between 1 pound and 2 per week. That's it. That's what healthy, taking the fat off of your body, 1 pound or 2 a week. That's all you should take off. Well, now, when I started, like I said, I had over 300 extra pounds of fat on my body. I started losing, I was probably 5, 6, 7 pounds a week I was taking off. That's not healthy, but my body said, I can't do this anymore. We're going to do this. We're going to get this weight off. So that actually helped motivate me. I don't recommend it, but that's just what my body did. And it did slow down after a while, because then your body adjusts, your brain adjusts, everything adjusts, because it's like, whoa, wait a minute here. We're losing way too much. I need these for reserves. What are you doing to me? You fight your body so much because it's constantly adjusting to make sure that it has the extra energy, which is the fat, to be able to run your primary systems. Your brain, your heart, your lungs, your kidneys. It's got to have all of that stuff. And it gets to a point where unless you can mentally get yourself to that point, I'm not trying to be mean, but don't start, because all those dozen times, I did not have my mental status where I needed to be. I hated everyone. I hated everything. I was in a very, very bad place. I gotten out of a divorce. Everything was rough. You know, I mean, there's so many reasons to do it. And I ate my feelings. Instead of processing them and dealing with them, talking about them, whatever it took for me to be able to move on, I did not do it. If there was a correct way, if there was a right way to do anything, you can pretty much bet I went the opposite way and did whatever I thought was the right way. And I learned, well, wait a minute here. You know, when I'm standing on a scale and the scale goes tilt, 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 well, geez, I did something wrong. Feature that. When I've got to start buying 7X shirts because I refuse to lose weight, then it's like, okay, this doesn't work anymore. This is really embarrassing, for one. And two, like I talked about before, when my belly would hang over my steering wheel in my truck. Trucks are huge. They're big. You got lots of room. And when I had no more room with my seat all the way back, steering wheel all the way up, and my belly still hung over, I was so embarrassed. It's like, okay, I got to do something different. I can't do this anymore. So the expense, back to this, the expense of getting started and stuff there was minor compared to, it is expensive to buy the good food. So you watch for sales, you do closeouts, whatever it takes there and stuff. That's what you have to do. Another reason for not starting was that I hear all the time, well, I'm so busy. I agree. Absolutely. We all have busy lifestyles. Absolutely. I'm not arguing with that point. But the one thing that you've got to understand too, that I had to understand and I had to accept, is if you're going to make this change and you need to do it, if it's important to you, you will make the change. You will adapt to what you need to do to make it work. You will find the time if it's important to you. It's kind of like if somebody's important to you, you find the time to spend with them. Somehow you carve out a little more time. It may not be easy, and most of the time it's not, because my goodness, we're all running, probably 20 hours a day, get 4 hours of sleep, get back up, you start over and do it again. But if it's important to you, you'll find a way. So the excuse of I'm too busy is an excuse, and I use it. I'm not lying to you guys. You can ask anybody that knows me. I was one of my biggest ones. I'm too busy. Another one that I use all the time is, I just have bad days. And you know what? Food comforts me. No arguments there. It does. But the problem is I use too much food to comfort me because I didn't have anybody there to help me through or talk to me or just anything there to be supportive. So I used food to comfort me when I had bad days constantly. And as obvious thing is, apparently I had a lot of bad days because, I could barely get through the door anymore. I was looking at putting a garage door on my house to get my tuchus through the door. It was getting so big. So it was getting really, really embarrassing. Another thing, honestly, I blamed it on was genetics. Another thing that I blamed it on is like, fatness runs in the family, or we have bad heart problems or diabetes or anything like that. So why fight it, because it's like, it's already written into my genes and my DNA, so there's nothing I can do about it. Well, that's not true. You can do everything you can to reverse the process. It may be somewhat in your genes. I'm not going to argue that point. I don't know the science and everything behind it and stuff there. I'm not a brilliant astrophysicist or anything like that. But I do know genetics does play some key to it. But for the most part there, if you want to make the changes, you're going to make the changes. You weren't born fat. So, that's kind of the way I looked at it. Is I wasn't born fat. I was skinny for 16 years. I was in good shape. I worked out a lot and stuff there. I was always splitting wood, hauling wood, cleaning, mowing, all kinds of stuff. I was constantly active. And it wasn't until I started at my first fast food job that everything just went way downhill. And it wasn't just the fast food. I used that to comfort myself because it was good. And, I was going through junior high, I was going through high school, and we all know those are rocky times anyway for kids and people. So it's kind of like blaming it on genetics. It's not a good one to blame it on. But I can understand why you would say it, but it's not a good reason. You just have to find what's going to work for you. Another thing there that I used all the time is, diets don't work for me, as I've already talked about and stuff there. Of course they don't work for you. They're not designed for long-term weight loss. They're designed for short-term weight loss because you basically restrict your body back so far. Carbs, sugars, fat, salt, everything. You restrict it back so far, your body can only function for so long. There's no doubt on that one. But that is probably one of the weakest excuses to actually use. And I used it. Oh my goodness sakes, I wore that excuse out. I'm not going to lie about that one. Diets don't work for me there because I just didn't want to go down that road. I didn't want to basically find the strength necessary to make my weight loss journey happen. And before I started, and I've talked about this before, I had to get myself in the right mental set. I had to get myself into the perfect spot to get going. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen right away. Even after I started my weight loss journey, when I set it in my head, okay, I'm doing this. I have to do this. I'm not backing off. I'm not giving in on this one here. Now, probably my Taurus side probably helped pull me through that one there because we are very stubborn. And I admit, I'm very stubborn on some things. This is one thing that I'm very stubborn on because I am going to make this work. I am going to make this happen, and I am going to get past that weight loss or that finish line so I can get to my weight loss goals. So using the excuse diets don't work for me, that's a weak one. Throw that out the window and stop using it. If you're gonna, like I said, if you want to make it happen, you're gonna find a way to make it happen. Another one that I used is, I blame my slow metabolism for it. Yes, your metabolism can be a little bit slow, but let's be honest, it probably was the 9,000 calories that I was intaking per day. My metabolism, it was probably fine, but it's like, if it can handle 2,000 and I'm shoving 7,000 through it, well, there's nothing that's going to keep up with it. You're going to clog everything up and it's just not going to work. And guess what? That's the reason why I was huge. So, metabolism, using that for an excuse, not a very good one either. Another one there and stuff there that I use is I love food too much. And I still do. Not arguing that whatsoever. I still love food. I still love sitting down and having a good meal with everybody. I enjoy the holidays because there's always lots of good food. But I have to say, last year when we got together with the family for Christmas and stuff, I did not overeat and I did not overshoot on the carbs or nothing. I was so proud of myself for getting through the first holiday, and I did not gain weight. And that is a rare thing to say when you're going through the holidays, and y'all know that as much as I do, is most everybody put some weight on. I did not put any weight on. I didn't gain anything. I was so proud of myself. But I gotta be honest, I didn't have all the goodies either. It broke my heart. Because it was kind of like, oh, I really want that cake, or I want the fudge, or the divinity, or the peanut brittle, or anything like that. I just wanted that so bad. But I knew that if I started down that road and started eating that stuff, I wasn't going to come back. So I had to get myself through the holidays without it. So I found other things there to try to help me through. It wasn't the same, but that's how much this weight loss journey means to me. I gave up the foods that I enjoy the most through the holidays. I gave most of them up. That's how much this journey means to me. That's how much it means to take this fat off of my body. I am sick and tired of looking in the mirror and going, bleh, that is just disgusting. And I have to change. I have to change that so I can change my mental state. And so when I look in the mirror and go, hey, I like who I see. And I'm not doing it for anybody else but me. And that's one thing that I want you guys to understand, is that's what you have to do the weight loss journey for, is you have to do it for yourself. Don't do it for anybody else. Yes, I say I do it for my family. Yes, I say I do it for my friends, my son, my puppy, and everything else, and I do. But I don't use that as an excuse to keep going. So if one of them chucks out on me or whatever, or something changes, then I can take my whole weight loss journey and throw it out the window. I don't do it for that reason. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it to save my life and hopefully extend my life so I can spend more time with my family and be there for them when they need me most. And that's you know, so many different excuses that people use, and I, honest to God, hear this constantly as I hear those excuses. And I let them go through their little spiel and how they basically set themselves up to say, yep, this is why I don't go on a diet. And I said, well, I agree why you don't go on a diet. You go on a weight loss journey. You have to change your life. And I was just talking to a friend this past week about everything that I've gone through and everything that I do. And and she's now going to be jumping on board and listening into the podcast and trying to figure out if something she wants to do. And I hope to God she does. And the nice part about it is I talked to her, and it's a friend I've known since I was 15. She's amazing. She's got such a great sense of humor. She's got a great family, good job. And I think she just needs a little bit of help. So I'm hoping the podcast helped there. Because she's amazing, and I want to be able to see her longer. And that's why I do what I'm doing, is because I want to be around to talk to people. I want to go for more hikes in the hills, more drives in the hills. I want to sing along horribly to more music while I'm driving around or I'm cleaning the house, whatever it is. You know, I want to see my son get married. I mean, there's so many different things that I want to do, and I can't do that by being over 300 pounds overweight. So right now I've lost right around estimating around 220 pounds in 20 months. That is an amazing amount of weight. I mean, that is just like, holy smokes. I mean, for the most part, that's like losing a whole person off of my body. And I do feel better, and I'm glad that I took this journey, and I'm glad I'm continuing on with the journey, because it basically motivates me to keep going. But I'm not gonna lie, in the beginning it's tough. It takes sheer willpower. It takes sheer determination to get going and stay the course. That's why I'm hoping that there's something in these podcasts that will help you stay the course. So what I wanted to do is, we've went through all the reasons why not to go on a diet and why not to start your own weight loss journey. So I was sitting down when I was writing my notes and stuff here for this podcast, and I came up with a bunch of like 15 reasons why you should do it. And I'm sure you've heard a lot of these. And so then I went to work and I thought, okay, maybe there's more that I don't know. And so I went to work and I did some snooping around, and I found this website which was incredible. And this, I mean, it was incredible, because I found this at the Houston Surgical Specialist website, and they have 35 reasons why you should start to lose weight. And some of these I had never even thought of. And some of them I was doing as I was going through it, and I didn't realize it. But I didn't realize that it was like, holy cow, okay, they thought of things that I never would have thought of. First one is, of course, more energy. It takes more weight to carry around those pounds. So when you lose those pounds, that energy can get diverted someplace else. And I got to be honest, that's a huge one for me. It did. It takes time before you start, noticing the difference in energy, but it was it was helpful. I mean, I feel better, and I don't take nearly as many naps as what I used to, I'll be honest. And like I said, my chest doesn't hurt as much anymore. I wasn't having heart problems as much anymore. Fewer headaches. Some people, suffer from migraines. I did notice that once I started losing weight and started going out, it took a little bit to figure out how to get my body balanced out so I didn't basically flatline all the time, because you can run out of carbs and sugar and everything else. Your body bottoms out. And at that point, it's only going to pull from the fat reserves for so long, to be very honest, and then you're going to have other problems. You still have to feed it. You still have to keep, nutrients and everything coming in. And like I said, it took probably 4 or 5 months, I'm going to guess, right now, before I started noticing a big difference. But I used to get chronic migraine. I still get migraines. I'm not arguing that point. I still get migraines, but my migraines have probably went down by 75%. Just by making these changes. But it took a little bit. It wasn't right away in the beginning, because I had to figure out how to balance, the right amount of caloric intake with what my body needed, while still trying to maintain as low as I can, so my body will continue to burn the fat and it doesn't go into starvation mode. And that is a very, very hard line to walk. And I'm going to be honest, I still struggle with that. 20 months into this, I still struggle in, because I bottom out so easily. When, you can be cruising right along, and all of a sudden it's just like your battery runs out. You're just done. And it's just like your head's foggy, you can't concentrate, you can't focus on anything, your eyes aren't working right. I've noticed that there's times where my dexterity wasn't quite there, I couldn't type. So then what I have to do is I have to pump some quick calories in me, but I'm not talking 1,000 calories. I may bounce it up by 75 or 100, just something to basically to get myself going again, because I went too low. And sometimes you don't even realize that you're running low until it's too late, and then it kicked in a migraine. So then I would have a migraine for a couple days, which was the bad point. So trying to find that balance of my caloric intake so I can keep everything going was hard. And I still, like I said, I still struggle with it, because as I continued to go on, my body is burning more and more. And I use the supplements that I have, and I've talked about them. They're on my Facebook page. You can go to and find out which ones I use. And trying to keep it all leveled out so I don't get those migraines is a huge thing. It takes a lot, but it's worth it. The struggle and to figure everything out, it's well worth it. I've noticed there and stuff there that work gets a little bit easier as well, because I started taking like a multivitamin, which helps and stuff. I take vitamin D and other things there, and what it did is I noticed that it kind of helps my mental acuity and clarity a little bit there. So work got a little bit easier. Now I still have troubles, I'm going to be honest there, because I run so low. My brain doesn't work quite as well as what it used to, and from all the research that I've done, it will come back once I basically get to my weight loss goal, when I get to the number and get my body to where I want it, and then it will level back out again, and because I'll be taking in more nutrients and more vitamins and minerals. So until that point, once in a while I do have where my snappy comebacks aren't quite where they should be, but for the most part it's a small price to pay. That if I don't have a witty comeback just instantly right on the spot, and I'm losing fat off my body, to me that's a fair trade. So for me, work got a little bit easier, because it was also easier to walk around the shop. It didn't seem quite so bad there. So there's all kinds of benefits that you can get out of it. Some people will get clearer skin out of it there. Basically, you're not running the foods, the carbs and everything, and the stress on your kidneys and liver basically diminishes. So that's your filtration system. So if you're not stressing out, sometimes that can help out, your skin, different rashes, acne and all that stuff can actually get a little bit better for you. I never thought of that one there. That was one that kind of caught me off guard. I was like, okay, I'll go with that one there. a better immune system overall. Added weight puts a lot of stress on the immune system. This leads to more colds and other illnesses. So when you're basically, losing weight, everything's going to start coming up. Your immune system is going to get better. Your overall health is going to get a little bit better. So, and I have noticed that I don't get sick nearly as much anymore. And I didn't even realize that until I actually read it on this website. It's like the Houston Surgical Specialist, they got this figured out. It's like, oh man, you guys thought of things I hadn't even thought of. And it's like, yes, this stuff is true. It's like, they're not full of hooey. It's fantastic. These guys are smart. And it's like, perfect. I do. I think I've only been sick once in like, I don't know, 2.5 years. It's amazing how much better, because your body functions so much better. Another thing they came up with, this one here didn't work for me, but I'm hoping it works for you. Food starts to taste better. For me, one thing that I've learned is a lot of the foods that I used to eat, I can't stand anymore. It's like my taste buds changed. And a lot of the stuff there, I mean, I'm heartbroken because I can't have Oreos anymore, because whatever it is in M&Ms, I can't have them anymore because they don't taste right. It's not that I can't eat them, they're still good, but the taste in them and stuff, there's something changed in my taste buds, and it broke my heart. It's like, aw. And same way with my lemon meringue pie. I mean, I ate, oh good Lord, 50 lemon meringue pies in my lifetime. I can't have them anymore because they don't taste good. And it breaks my heart. It's like, oh, son of a gun. But I have to think of it as it's a small price to pay for losing the fat. And I'm hoping that maybe when things level out, my taste buds will come back. But for a lot of people, food starts to taste better. A lot of people there will learn how to cook. And I have to admit, and my son and I talk about it and stuff there, he likes to keep me out of the kitchen, and I don't mind staying out of the kitchen. I don't like to cook. I cooked for 30 straight years, and it's like, I'm done with it. I don't want to be in the kitchen anymore. But with the new Blackstone griddle that we have out on the deck, I do have to admit, I do like cooking on that. I do like cooking on the grill. So I've gotten a little bit better, and being that I can't use all the condiments like I used to, he's teaching me how to use spices and stuff there to keep the flavors up without putting any extra calories in. And that has been huge for me, and I'm starting to learn, and I'm sure he's screaming on the other end of this speaker and so there saying, I told you, Dad. And here I am talking about it here. So yes, he's right in this case, and he'll remind me, I'm sure, many more times in the future about it. Another one there is an improved sex drive. I hadn't thought of that one there, but weight loss boosts testosterone production, leading to better libido. I thought, okay, well, I hadn't thought of that one too, but yeah, I guess weight loss does have kind of an effect on that. So hopefully, someday I'll get to find out if that's true or not. I don't know. So, adventurous attitudes is another one they brought up, which is very, very true. You have a tendency when you're overweight to not want to go do anything. You just want to stay in your chair, not move, and eat. And I have to admit, losing the weight, I do want to get out a little bit more. I want to do more things. I find myself having more energy, and I have a hard time just sitting still now. When in the past there, for 30 plus years, that's all I wanted to do was just sit in my chair and not move. Well, that's because I was moving 300 extra pounds. It's basically I'm carrying around 2.5 people. Well, that gets to anybody. That gets old. You get so tired from doing it. It's just like, holy smokes, this is just too much. So and another one was depression, for me, because it was like, well, I don't like, what I look like. I don't like how I feel, nothing. So that kicked in depression. Depression kicked in. I ate my feelings. So guess what? I went and had 6 or 7 double cheeseburgers and large fries and pop and several desserts and everything else because I was eating my feelings. Well, you can't do that when you're on this weight loss journey. You have to actually process those feelings and work with them and work through them. So to me, I do have a more adventurous attitude. I do want to get out and see things. Last year and stuff there, it was so phenomenal. We got to see some beautiful country in Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Connecticut. Oh my goodness sakes, talk about beautiful country out there. That was 8 days of heaven out there. It was amazing and beautiful, amazing people that are out there, so helpful, so talkative. They were amazing. It was so much fun. It was 8 days of amazingness. I had nothing else to say but that. It was fantastic. And honestly, I would have never done that before if I hadn't started my weight loss journey because I wouldn't have had the energy. Another one that a lot of people do is reduce joint pain. I'm still waiting for this one here, but like I said, the doctors, whatever they put me on there before I started all this, about 5 years before, destroyed my joints. But I do know, I've talked to many, many people that have went through their own weight loss journey, that the joint pain does lessen because you're not carrying all that extra weight. And if you're just wondering what that extra weight does to you, like there's times where we'll have to replace the 5-gallon water bucket there of our Culligan water at work. Those are typically 40 pounds a piece, and with a container and stuff, you're looking at 42, 43 pounds. Just pick one of those up and walk around with it a little bit and just notice the strain on your joints and how they feel. And it's like, holy smokes, this is crazy. No wonder everything hurts. And I didn't realize that until I started picking those up and I started walking around the break room and down the hall and everything. It's like, holy cow, no wonder I hurt all the time, and no wonder I didn't have any energy. Well, it took 6 times the energy just to haul around that weight, so no wonder I didn't want to go and do anything. I mean, it's just like, holy cow, now I understand why this why this happens. Another one here, and I have to admit this, and my family will attest to this one here, you have more clothing options. And I was just talking to my son last weekend about this. We were sitting up there at the Sturgis Rally. We have a motorcycle rally up here that comes in for a couple weeks every year, and there's anywhere from 250 to 500,000 bikers that roll through every year and stuff during that time. And they have bunches of vendors and booths and everything else set up in Sturgis, South Dakota. And as we were sitting there watching the bikes go through and everything else and tootle around, I haven't been able to actually go into any place like that and buy clothes off the rack anymore because I was so big that they didn't have my size. And I'll be honest, most of their sizes run small anyways. So even though that I was looking at a 4X or even a 5X, I still couldn't fit in it because basically they're one size smaller. So it pretty well hosed me from buying clothes off the rack. And I told him, I said, next year, when I should be pretty much at my goal weight, I am going to actually go up there. And I haven't bought anything from the vendors in years. I'm actually going to go there and treat myself to a couple shirts. And I know that sounds funny, and you're probably thinking, whoop-de-doo, it's a couple shirts. To me, that is a huge, huge thing to be able to buy clothes off the rack and be happy about it and buy what you want. Most of the time, what little I could buy on the rack, you had to take whatever was on the rack, whether you liked it or not, because you just needed clothes to cover up. Most of the time, I didn't like the clothes. Now I'm hoping to be able to have that option to be able to go up there and pull something off the rack and say, yes, I really want this, and actually enjoy wearing that new shirt around. And that's, and he agreed. He said that would be so much, that would be so awesome. And I am so looking forward to it. That really helped spur me on to continue on to lose my weight, because I want to next year to be able to go up there and buy something off the rack. I know it sounds funny, but to me, that's what I'm using as motivation to keep on my journey. Another thing that people might be nicer to you. Fat shaming is huge, and I've endured over 30 years my own fair share of fat shaming. People would go out of their way to fat shame me and tell me how fat and nasty I looked, and they would say a few other words, but I'm not going to say them on this podcast because I try to keep the podcast clean. But there's a lot of stuff that was said to me, and it was hurtful. There's no argument about that one there. So people have a tendency to be nice to you, and it is true, because I have to say, since I've been losing weight, the fat shaming has went down probably 50, maybe even 75%. And now, granted, I'm a 6'3", and I've got a huge stature, my wide shoulders and everything else. I'm just a naturally big guy. So it helps hide the fat that I do have, but I got to be honest. The nasty looks, the pointing, the whispering as you walked by or whatever and stuff there has really went down, and that is so true. That people will start to be nicer. It's not the right thing. It's a horrible thing. It's when they're making fun of you. But if you're a fat person like me, you endure that. That's just part of being fat. You just get used to knowing that you're going to get fat shamed anytime that you're out in public. And I've noticed that since I've been losing weight, actually that has went down by a ton. So that's all kinds of, there's tons of other reasons. There's so many that are on my screen, but I'm starting to creep up on time, and I'm running out of time. So I don't have time to cover all 35 of them. So maybe I'll bring a few of them up there in the next episode. But these are all good reasons on why you really should lose weight. And like I said, you have to get yourself in a mental spot and ready to go before you can do it. And I'm not saying don't do it. I'm encouraging you 100% to start your own weight loss journey. But you have to have yourself in the mental aspect of, yes, I'm going to do this. You have to 100% believe you're going to do this, and don't deviate from that. Don't give yourself excuses. Don't make up excuses. If anything, make up positive excuses of why you're doing it and start working that in. So instead of finding the negative excuses, find the positive ones and start focusing on the positives of losing weight instead of the negatives. That's why I wanted to bring up so many positives, because there is. And the worst part of it is I heard a lot of them. Some of these I didn't that I brought up, but a lot of them I did. And I kept saying, well, whoop-de-doo, Basil, who cares? I'm fat. It doesn't bother you any. Well, unfortunately, it does bother your health. And when all's said and done there, that's all you have, and you need to take care of it. And I got so sick and tired of people saying, well, your body's a temple and you need to treat it well. Well, unfortunately, as much as I hate this just hurts to say, they're correct. You have to take care of your body because it's the only one that you get. It's not like you can run down to your hardware store and pick out a new body by any means. That'd be great. I mean, I think that'd be fantastic, but it just doesn't happen. So in the end, make sure you're doing this for the right reason. You're doing it for yourself. That's what you absolutely have to understand before you get started, is make sure you're doing it for yourself. Once you do that and you get past the first couple 3 months where it's really, really rough, you're going to find that you're happier, you're healthier, you're going to be able to be there more for others, you're going to be able to help them. And honestly, I think you're going to be really, really glad that you did. But realize, make the changes that you can live with for the rest of your life. This is not a short-term answer. This is a marathon, not a sprint, guys. You have to make the changes and be honest with yourself. Don't make up excuses or make up reasons. Oh, in a couple months I'll give it up. It's no big deal. Or I can handle this change for a little bit. You have to make the changes that you can live with the rest of your life, and that's exactly what I've done. It makes the process so much easier, and you will find so much more satisfaction because of it. But just know you got this, and I absolutely know that you can do this. No doubt in my mind. You just have to get started. That's the hardest part, is to get started. But once you get started, you'll pull through, and you'll need the determination, you'll need support to get through it all the way through. But you can do it. There's no doubt in my mind. If I can basically take over 30 years of adding excess fat and everything to my body, and I can make the mental jump and the physical jump and the food jump to say enough is enough. I'm not doing this anymore. I know you can, because I was hardcore set against all of this. Everything that I talked to you guys about today, I used those excuses all the way, and I had a few more, but there's only so many that I can talk about in this short podcast. But I used them all. I used every excuse in the book, and I even had a few more that weren't on that list there that I used. But it wasn't until I realized that, the only one that I'm hurting is myself, and I want to be here longer. I want to be there for my son. I want to be there for my family, my puppy, everything. I want to be there for them all, and I can't do that by being over 300 pounds overweight. So I made the adjustments necessary to be able to live and stay on my own weight loss journey. And 20 months later, guys, I'm still here and I'm still cruising right along. So you got this. I believe in you. I'm out of time. I'm noticing by the time on my screen here and stuff here. But just know, I want to be your biggest cheerleader. I'm here for you. I hope something in these podcasts will help you get through. But you have got this. Believe in yourself, because I believe in you. No doubt about it there. So to end the podcast, as we always do, guess what? It's time for the dad joke of the day. So if you're ready to go and ready to roll your eyes as always and hear a fantastic dad joke, here we go. Do you know why skeletons are always so calm? Because nothing gets under their skin. I love it. I wanted to make sure I had a good laugh on there as we end this podcast. Thanks so much for listening. You guys are amazing. Thanks so much for liking, sharing, commenting on the pages. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It means the world to me. Thanks so much. And as always, all my love and support